Welcome to the podcast. It's the best podcast in the world. This is going to end up on the show. I know it, motherfucker.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 112 of Epitome of Stupidity, your favorite allegedly metal podcast. That there good stuff in your ears is New Dead Elvis. It's a track off of Sugar Horse's just released new album, The Grand Scheme of Things. It is fucking great and sure to be a contender for some album of the year list come, Merry Christmas. Not all that long from now, I guess. More on them here shortly. So, if you're new here, I'm Clint. I'll be your host. If you're not new here, you'll know that without a doubt, I am dressed to the nines, even though you can't see me. You'll also know that around here, we like us some mead. And if you go to brimminghornmeadery.com and use code EPITOMEAD, that's EPITOMEAD, at checkout, you will get a 10% discount of whatever delicious mead that you have picked out that they have made and you will enjoy. So you do that, you get a discount, you get the mead. It's just all, I'm thirsty just thinking about it. Anywho, what have I been listening to here lately? Well, this fucking Sugar Horse album, that's for damn sure. Full disclosure, the conversation that you'll hear between Ash of the band and me was recorded back in early August. So this damn thing has been on a pretty constant rotation for me for a long time at this point. Outside of that, I've been enjoying some of the new album Texas Math by A Deer a Horse. Possibly more on them here soon. And I've randomly got into a Bowie run, because why not? That fucking Black Star album of his, it took a minute for it to click with me, but now that it has, I really fucking enjoy it. Anywho, so Sugar Horse. They are getting ready to go on a shortish tour. Who am I to say what's short and what's long in these instances? They're getting ready to go on tour with some bands that you will recognize from the show. One Hip Attractor and Pine. I still don't know how to fucking say their name right. I'm terrible. All three bands have been on the show this year talking about albums or tours or any of this, that, or the other. And they're all getting ready to go out on a tour of the UK here in October. I would love to be at that. I can't be. So you should go and report back to me just how fucking awesome it was. And as you'll hear from our conversation with Ash here shortly, I would also like to know just how fucking loud Sugar Horse are. Sugar Horse have been around for a while. They've done a lot of really fucking interesting things in their time. They can do a lot of different things without feeling like they're trying to be different or anything like that. They are fucking great, and talking to Ash was also pretty fucking great and fun. So maybe let's do some Back to the Future type phone sounds, since this conversation already happened, and beep, 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 ring. And he answered. On the line with me today is Ash of Sugar Horse. Ash, how the hell are you today?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you. You've already mentioned that it's I don't know how relevant this will be by the time this is getting to other people's ears, but you've already mentioned that it's nice and warm outside and you're not enjoying it.
Yeah. I'm not built for hot weather. I'm like, I don't know. I've got like Scandinavian blood or something. So it's the cold weather is what I like. I'm looking forward to the summer ending, honestly. But it's all good. Can't complain.
You and I aren't far apart on that scale. It gets above just the, I don't know. I can't do the Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion quick enough in my head, but it gets above like 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and I start fucking sweating, and I'm not for it. I don't need any reasons to be slippery or sticky.
No. Yeah, I sweat. Like, I'll sweat in like 10 degrees Celsius, you know?
Sure.
So yeah, I'm excited for this one. It'll be all good. We're all good.
I like to start these with just a big, easy, generic, since it's a music podcast. What are you listening to lately?
Oh god. Lately I've like it's been loads of politics stuff has happened over here, so I've been listening to lots of like boring political podcasts just because that has been like the UK for like the last few weeks, as people have probably seen. But apart from that, there's a band called Mums that I really like, who are from Leeds. There's a band called Meth from the US that are great. The new Mets record is amazing. Kim Gordon from Sonic Youth has released a solo record. That's really great. And there's a record by an artist called How to Dress Well, which is kind of the thing that I'm obsessed with at the moment, which is like weird, like beautiful, kind of ambient, kind of R&B-ish electronica. Really good.
Okay, so kind of eclectic.
Yeah.
Speaking of eclectic, I've seen the run of releases building up to you guys' first full album, The Live Long After, described as eclectic. I feel like eclectic is also a great way to describe the track titles, be it things like Shouting Judas at Bob Dylan, Fat Dracula, or my favorite off the new album, Mullet Proof. I'm sure I'm not the first person to ask this, but where the fuck do these album titles come from?
We have like a massive like vault full of them, and we just pull them out. We pull the ones we're liking out at the time.
Yeah.
If it seems appropriate for the song, I tend to like we'll have like bits and pieces of like music or like the skeleton of a song beforehand, and then we'll kind of demo it in a room together, and then I'll work out like the exact vocals to it with all the lyrics and stuff, and then it sounds weird because all the songs have like really stupid titles and the lyrics are actually kind of serious.
Right.
So, but in a weird, like super pretentious way in my head, the titles kind of link to the lyrics a little bit, in like a kind of not straightforward way, but they do kind of link up. So there's a bit of like whatever we're finding funny at that moment, plus if I can get it to link in my own head, then that helps.
Is there a good enough example of the silly song title and the serious lyric linking up that you can give an example of?
Yeah, so Shouting Judas at Bob Dylan is like, obviously that comes from the super famous incident of when Bob Dylan went electric for the first time. It's on that Bob Dylan film where the dude in the crowd shouts Judas at him. It's like the funniest. Like I still find that clip like so funny. Like how weird that guy is. But there's that. That's how it came about, obviously. Then I guess the song itself is kind of about like right-wing politicians over here in the UK, as well as kind of like old like British imperialism and the kind of the nihilism that sits behind that, and that statement in itself to me feels like a kind of nihilistic statement. You know what I mean? Like,
okay,
you are shouting something incredibly offensive of like one of the greatest artists of all time.
Sure.
You know, so it, like that kind of linkage like works for me. As I said, very pretentious and very loose, but I like it, and that's what matters.
Like with the track titles, again, like I said, I'm sure I'm not the first person to ask that. Is there ever a point of I'm tired of fucking explaining this, just listen to the song?
Very few people ask like if they mean anything, honestly.
Oh, okay.
I think most people just assume they're just jokes, you know what I mean? Which is absolutely fine. I don't care at all. Like in a way they're there to add some kind of levity to the situation, you know what I mean? Like the danger of being in like a heavy band is you call like every song is called like fucking Blood or something, you know? And everyone's like standing in a woodland looking very serious at a camera, and it's all a bit po-faced. I kind of like breaking that illusion. Like in real life, we're not serious guys.
Sure.
I'm not gonna come on here and pretend that I'm the most serious man that's ever lived. Like, we all laugh. We laugh like constantly when we're on tour. So why pretend that, like, why make the music completely serious? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The whole like trying to be metal thing wears thin so fucking fast.
Yeah, and I like loads of bands that are like that. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But also we don't really. No members of the band like individually would see themselves as like metal heads. I guess like metal is like one of the genres we enjoy, but I don't think anyone in the band like sees themselves as a particularly like metal guy.
Sure.
You know.
What are some influences for you guys?
I know that there is metal stuff. Don't get me wrong. Like, but it would be probably like the weirder, like noisier end of like heavier music. We're all big Deftones fans. We're all big like Melvins fans. Like every single tour, Sleep Dope Smoker gets played the whole way through at least once. On a drive, we'll listen to the whole thing. So we're big fans of that. And then there's like more kind of chaotic stuff, like really like like one of my biggest, I guess, like musical influences for this band is a band called The Chariot. It's like ex-members of Norma Jean. Like really noisy, like loads of feedback. It's really like atonal and chaotic, but in like super creative. Like you won't hear a band that sounds like them ever. And the like Josh, the singer, vocalist guy's like voice is like unparalleled, I think. But yeah, I'm really into that band.
What did you say the name was? Chariot?
The Chariot, yeah.
I'll look into that.
And then like outside of that, there's a lot of like goth and post-punk stuff, like from like the 80s and maybe like the early 90s. Like we're all big fans of The Cure, Joy Division. Then like I guess like some 90s shoegazy stuff like My Bloody Valentine and like post-rock stuff like Mogwai. And there's a big range. There's a big range of stuff that all kind of finds its way in there. And then you can probably tell if you've heard the record already, but we also like a lot of like ambient drone music.
Yeah.
There's loads of that in there. Yeah, it's a big mix of stuff. I could go on, but your listeners will want to die. They'll be so bored.
Oh no! If they've heard me ramble before, they'll be happy to hear you. You go into the goth thing, and there's a connection that I am desperately trying to make, no matter how fucking stupid it makes me sound. Between the sense of humor and the kind of gothy thing, I was just dying for you to say something about Typo Negative there.
You know what? I think I've listened to them a couple times, but it's not. I wouldn't say I'm a fan. Like I've heard them, they sound cool, but I don't like listen to them. I'll be honest. I don't know if the other guys do. Maybe Jake does. Jake's like, I think everyone in the band is a pretty big, like, we call them heads over here, but like music nerd.
Oh yeah.
So we all listen to like tons of music. But Jake is probably the king of the heads in the band. We have a joke that Jake has his own like. There's a radio station over here called BBC Radio 6. And that's like the like indie rock, like I'm the biggest music nerd of all time, like radio station that people listen to.
Sure.
We have a joke that Jake has his own show on that. So like a song will finish in the van and Jake will rattle off some like facts about like which remaster that was and what year it came out and stuff. Good.
So Jake's the king of the heads, huh?
Yeah. The biggest head. You'll enjoy that as well.
So clearly you're willing to have a sense of humor with this stuff. Do you ever find yourself tipping too far one way or the other, tipping too far into sense of humor, or you've mentioned that the songs are actually very serious or serious. Do the scales ever feel like they're tipping too far one way or the other, and you have to kind of recalibrate?
I don't think so. I wouldn't say there's that much like comedy in it. Like the song titles are funny, I guess, if you're into the same kind of like sense of humor as we have. And like just because of how I guess like simple and boneheaded the music can be at times, that can be funny. Like we have laughed a lot at like parts of songs before where we've been like, this is so stupid, I can't believe like this is a part we're putting in a song. Especially like the atonal stuff that's just like random notes, you know?
Sure.
That's just intrinsically funny, I think. But apart from that, it's all pretty serious, really. That's just like that's just some window dressing we put on, so we don't like we're British, you know. We don't address emotions properly. We have a very bad relationship with being open with our emotions, so we've got to put some window dressing on it, so we don't, you know, like get in touch
Right.
with
No.
our inner selves.
Can't have that. So you mentioned that some of the stuff is super simple, and but somehow you guys still pull off being able to do so many things so well. Like I mentioned previously that you cover a wide swath of things album to album, but you also swing the pendulum pretty drastically within a song every now and then. How does the writing process that leads to shit like that happen?
I guess the the songs come out of more. I guess the vast majority of bands or like musicians will write like a part, like whether that's like a riff or like there'll be like a drum beat or like a vocal line or whatever. But I think the ideas for our songs, like we always call them like moves internally, but like the ideas for our songs would come out of like one of us coming up with a move or hearing like a move in someone else's song and being like, we could do that. Like, trying to think of an example. There's a song called Office Job Simulator
On the new album.
on new records, and there's that one's probably got like the most moves in it, where you kind of the most obvious bit would be when it changes from like a big kind of riff section, like a big heavy riff section, into like one guitar doing like a massive drone. Like to me, those they're almost like it's almost the transition that makes the parts cool. Like
Right.
the parts independently are not that cool. You know what I mean? It's the fact that they go into each other which kind of makes it. And but honestly, like thinking there could be a song that does that is like the initial idea, and then you kind of write stuff around that, which sounds weird, but that happens quite a lot.
So almost thinking about it from the transitions out.
Yeah, almost like, wouldn't it be cool if a song like had like super heavy verses and then like really quiet choruses, and then out of nowhere you did like a big drone section. You know what I mean? Like you kind of have the like most 5-year-old understanding of music, like sketch for a song, and then you have to kind of write the actual musical parts to fill that in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really enjoy, like, I think especially nowadays in music, it's really easy to get like really severe option paralysis, where like I'm sitting in a studio right now, I've got a laptop right next to me that has Logic on it, it has a ton of like virtual instruments, I have a load of guitars over there, a drum kit behind me and some amps. Like I could just write anything on any of those things right now in any genre, like any genres available at like a few clicks. Like you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
Right? So it almost makes things easier to set yourself very like harsh limitations, and then you can almost be more creative within those limitations because you can only work within that box, you know?
More creative with harsh limitations. That is a sentence that I don't think anybody expected to hear today. The idea of just kind of option paralysis is really interesting too. I ask pretty often, how do you know when a song is done? How do you know when an album is done? How do you know that this song isn't going to make it on the album? How do you guys go about making those decisions? I know some of your songs are quarter into the, like longer territory, but you've also got no shortage of in and out in 2 or 3 minute songs too.
But like I said, the sketch for a song will kind of be there already, so it's almost like I'll pretty much have a lot of my parts before we go in and demo it, but like then the other guys have completely free reign over what they do. And a lot of the time, someone will do something that will kind of change the feel of a song, or dictate that we have to play this section a little bit shorter because it feels right now, so a lot of it will change once you get it in the room with the other guys. But then the kind of 5-year-old sketch in my head of the song normally remains about the same. So when you've kind of done that, that's done. And we like to work incredibly quickly. We are like the opposite of perfectionists when it comes to music. In fact, I think perfectionism is a death nail in experiencing like any kind of emotion through recorded music, especially. So we will finish the song and like demo it there. That'll be the demo. And then this last album, it's like that there are 2 songs on the album where we did 2 takes. The rest is like the first take song.
Really?
Much. Yeah.
That's nuts.
But they're all very easy. I should say that. It's like like the guitar playing on this album is like that of a 3-year-old child. It's very like technically easy. But I like the immediacy of getting it down in one, and most of the time, like there's a Steve Albini quote that's like, no one listened to an album and thought that would be my favorite album if on song 3 the drummer hadn't missed that one snare fill. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like no one gives a shit. Like, and most of the time it even makes it better because like, oh, I heard like that little snare's off, and I love it when that comes around because I noticed it. You know what I mean?
Sure, it makes it stand out.
Exactly. So we are very unprecious. Like I do so little editing of the songs after they're recorded. Sometimes you have to because like something sounds horrific.
Right.
But yeah, it's like there's that. What you hear on the album is like the band playing it once and then a bunch of overdubs on top of that. Really.
Yeah, you are definitely going counter to what's normal there, aren't you?
Like now, I guess. I feel like that was like super standard practice, I guess, back in the day.
Right.
But
yeah,
we don't use click tracks or anything either. It's all like kind of live and in the room and in the moment, which is really nice.
You guys have been together for how long now? Was it 2015?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, we were doing it for like a few years, but not taking it seriously in any way for ages. So it's probably longer, but it's like so in flux as to when we actually properly started that I guess 2015. I'm not sure.
Sure.
It's been a while.
Is it all the same members?
Jake joined. So we were a 3-piece originally. We have like a record out where we were a 3-piece. And then Jake joined from, there's a single called Gak Eater, which like came out after our first EP. That's the first release that he's on.
Okay.
So around then, I think it might be like 2017, something like that.
My curiosity here is that with the way you're recording these things, is it noticeably, like back then, was it 3 or 4 takes where now it's first take, second take, something like that? Like I'm sure you've probably always been working quick, but has the evolution made you guys tighter in that sense?
It probably was a few more takes back then, but I think we're a lot less scared now to be as simple as humanly possible. Like there's something very scary for like a musician to go in a room and do like the most boneheaded simple thing on a song, and for that to be okay. And it took a long time for us to get properly comfortable with that. I'd probably say it was like album 1, the Live Long After is probably when we got properly comfortable with that properly, and everything before that still had like don't get me wrong, it still was not technical, but it meant that you added maybe a couple more takes on,
Sure.
you know,
Right.
just because, like, I don't know, someone would be happy with something, you know, we do it again. But now I feel like it's real good. It's so of the moment that I'm really into it. Like, and we always record in like really big rooms as well, so you can hear the room really well. We record in, there's loads of like room mics that we set up. So the whole recording feels very like it is a time and a place, you know, it feels very undigital in that way.
Yeah. And it's a welcome change of pace to all of the digital. As you're talking through all that, I'm trying to place like some of the feelings that I've had, feelings being a weird word to use there, but whatever, that I've had sitting here listening to the album, especially the new one, and the Live Long After here a bit more intently these past few days getting ready for this conversation. And the room as kind of a character or a sound in it makes a lot of fucking sense as I hear you say that.
Oh, thanks. That's the aim. I record and mix our stuff, apart from that first album, which was done by a guy called Andy, who's a genius. But apart from that, I've done all of our stuff, and getting that room to shine through when you've got like big, heavy drop Z fuzz guitars going on, it's like a real big task, and it takes a lot of time, and a lot of trial and error. So I'm glad you can hear it.
Yeah,
I'm really happy.
Yeah, the not recorded digitally thing for sure comes through, but thinking about it. Anyways, the Live Long After has come up a few times here, and it wasn't short on high praise, and rightly so, upon its release and all the things that I've seen looking back. As you mentioned, you guys are constantly doing stuff and recording and not messing around. There's been, I think the Live Long After was 2021.
Yeah.
And there's been stuff every year since. But just going full album to full album, and you were saying things previously that I think lead to the answer to this, but I've got it written down, so I guess I'm going to ask it any fucking way.
All good.
Do you feel any kind of pressure to live up to or exceed that album with the grand scheme of things?
There's like internal pressure, and when I say internal pressure, I mean like just for myself to do something that's different and more interesting. Like there are tons of bands that have basically released the same record for like 20 years, right? And I love a ton of those bands. Like I love Meshuggah, I love
AC/DC.
Yeah, I love My Bloody Valentine. I love like name any ambient band. You know what I mean? Like they've all released like the same record over and over again, which is absolutely fine. But the idea behind this band is very much not to do that. In fact, you want to go in as far of a different direction as you possibly can. And I guess the only pressure is to try and do that and do it successfully. You know what I mean? Because there's no point in doing that and then writing something that I think is crap just for the sake of like
being different.
Yeah, being different. So it's that like a lot of this band's like music is like glorified writing exercises for me. It's like, as I said, set yourself some parameters and see what you can do. See if you can do anything cool within those parameters. So yeah, that's the only pressure really. I couldn't give less of a shit what people outside that, like myself, really think about it. I think I've done a good job on this. So.
Okay, well, that leads to like going into the writing process for the grand scheme of things. Was there a plan or an idea in place? And if so, how close to that did you actually come?
Yeah, so yeah, it has. I tend to like believe it or not, the album title tends to come first before anything else. And we like try and work from there. So I had the grand scheme of things as like an album title for ages. Like I remember we did a listening party for the release of The Live Long After, and I remember having the title The Grand Scheme of Things then. So it's been there for a while. And then once you have that, you can start building out from it. So like I was talking about with those kind of like 5-year-old sketches of music, I kind of had the idea for the album. Like I was listening to a Mogwai record called Come On Die Young, which is like, I don't know if you've heard Mogwai before, but like the stereotypical Mogwai song is, it's a post-rock song, so it starts off super soft, and then gradually there's like a crescendo, and it ends super loud and like grand, right?
Okay.
And lots of their early stuff does that, but I feel like they made a conscious decision on Come On Die Young to, instead of doing that over the space of like a song and doing that song like 8 times or whatever, they would do that same structure over the course of an album. So it kind of starts really soft and super stripped back and melodic, and then over the space of the album, it kind of builds up to a climax.
Okay, yeah.
It ends like super, like the last 2 songs are like super noisy, and you know. So I thought that was an interesting idea. So I kind of nicked that a little bit, but I wanted to make it a bit more like us. So the album kind of starts off very melodic and almost like a kind of indie rock album in a way. But then I wanted to, as difficult as it is to be like shocking, in this day and age, like I'm not saying that it's like a Cannibal Corpse record, right? But, like the end of the first side is, there's a particular moment in there that's supposed to be like quite a shocking moment.
I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's when like the horror starts, if you will. And then that kind of flows through into the second side, right? And then there's a couple more unexpected moments in that second side as well, but that's the general idea of the structure, and I feel like that I did that pretty well, and that's worked out kind of cool. So that was like the general plan for it. Sorry, that was waffling on.
No, that's exactly what I'm looking for here. But I'm going to go ahead and pre-apologize here, because this might be something you don't want me to say. But at which point, just tell me to fuck off, and I'll figure out how to edit this. Whose idea was it to let the last song go on with that note for 20 fucking minutes?
Yeah, so there's a couple points to this. One, like as I said, we like a ton of drone music, like ambient music, like experimental electronic music. So I completely get the fact that like a song where the song goes on for 4 minutes and then it's 20 minutes of like battle volume drone is like weird to a lot of people, but that's kind of completely in my wheelhouse, honestly. Okay. Like I listen to like 20-minute long drone songs like all of the time. So that feels kind of normal to me, but the actual, I guess, the move, like I said earlier,
right?
The idea for that move kind of came from, it actually came from thinking about, so I have a Godspeed You Black Emperor record, like just over there actually.
Okay.
Their first album is called F Sharp, A Sharp, Infinity. And it's called that because on the B-side, the very last song ends with a chord sequence that's F Sharp, A Sharp, like over and over again. But then there's something called a lock groove. I don't know if you've come across this in vinyl before, but it essentially means that there's a groove, like a vinyl is just like a big spiral groove, right?
Sure.
But then you can cut the end groove so it goes back into itself. So there's no ending. It just does a loop of the whole vinyl, with like no break. So on that Godspeed vinyl, it plays like F sharp and A sharp over and over again. But you can hear where that loop is. Like it sounds kind of weird and like the rhythm's odd because the loop is kind of jerky, right? So I thought it would be an interesting idea to try and have a bit of music that does that, but it has no rhythm in it, so you can't tell where the loop starts and ends. So it just sounds like a big drone that goes on forever. Okay. So I was like, cool, that'll be a great thing to end the album on vinyl with, but how am I going to do that for like, you know, like the Spotify song? So the obvious thing was to just make it last for a really long time.
That's
so that's kind of where that idea came from. That sounds very cool on vinyl.
That's a much more elaborate answer than I was expecting there. That was, and no, I've never heard the Locked Groove thing. I'm not. I've never heard that. You mentioned Spotify there in passing. Just out of curiosity, the big collaboration EP from a couple years ago. Yeah. Why isn't that on Spotify?
Oh, it should be.
I was looking.
Unless someone's taken it off, it might be. The annoying thing about Spotify is it hides EPs in the singles section.
Yeah, I went through it this afternoon and couldn't find it. And I know it's been there before because I remember hearing Damien and thinking, "The hell's going on here?"
Oh, it is definitely there. I'm looking at it now.
Is it?
I wonder if it's got something to do with US territories or something. Yeah, it's definitely here. It's from like 2022. That we like it's a rod for our own back, to be honest. But lots of the artwork from around that time looks exactly the same. So you may well have just scrolled past it thinking it was like a different single or something. But...
You know what? I'm gonna take your word on it and not search fucking Spotify while I'm standing here talking to you. And I'm just gonna go ahead and feel like a jackass. I listened to it on Bandcamp though, so it all worked out. We've talked about musically for the grand scheme of things. Is there a lyrical theme throughout it?
Yeah. So a couple of years ago in May, I lost my dad died basically. And lyrically, although it kind of touches on subjects like around that, it's kind of based on like finding out that he was going to die, experiencing like the lead up to his death, and then stuff that happened after his death, and a couple songs were about that very directly, and then there's a couple songs about like things that were happening around that time that I felt like linked into that emotion, and then there's a couple tunes that are, I guess, like I say biographical. I'm doing big air quotes here, but like I feel like they're kind of biographical pieces about him and the way he felt about certain things in life, and I don't know, it's all quite like a cathartic, like me trying to just process all of that, whether that's in a healthy way or not, I'm still not really sure. I don't really know, but it all felt okay at the time. So, yeah, that's kind of what it's about. It's just like an exploration of that, really.
What's your favorite song on the
album? I really like I think it's the third song. Yeah, really like the third song, Corpse Thing. I'm a big sucker for like melodic stuff. And that was sometimes, especially with songs that aren't like just like riffs and screaming, as they tend to be like bolting stuff together a bit more just by the nature of them. But like songs that are like chords and a vocal line, sometimes you can sit down and write one of them in like one sitting, and it just kind of comes out without that much effort going into it. And Corpsing was one of those, and I've probably only done that like 3 times, maybe ever. So, and that came out like in one sitting, and it felt really good. And then I just like, and the lyrics came out super easily as well after that, and it all just kind of fell in place, and I was super happy with it. And every time I hear it, I'm like, that's one of the good ones. You know what I mean? Which makes me happy.
What comes first for you? A guitar line or a melody vocally?
It varies. Sometimes, a lot of the time, it will be like a guitar line, I guess. Sometimes it will be like a bass part. We have lots of songs that are like the verses are like bass and drums with a vocal line over the top. We do that quite a bit. And 9 times out of 10, if the song's got that in it, I've probably written like a 2-year-old dumbass's version of that bass line, but and written a vocal melody over it that then Chris has turned into like an actual good bass line that like, you know, a bass player would enjoy and like an audience of people would like pay for. But yeah, that like if a song has one of those verses in it, it probably come from like a bass line of some description. It varies from song to song, honestly. Like some of the more screamy stuff, like there's a song called Disco Loadout on that collaborative EP that was like, when I say like 5-year-old sketch of a musical idea, I wanted to do a song. That song's in random tuning, so all of the strings on the guitar, I just tune them to entirely random atonal notes, and then it doesn't have any fretted notes in it at all, so I'm just playing all open strings tuned to random notes, or doing like chugga chugga mutes, and it's like a minute and a half. But I wrote the vocals for that first, so that whole song is just like screaming vocals. So it's like I wrote the vocals for that, and then wrote the stupid atonal guitar parts underneath.
And just speed up your guitar.
Yeah. But it was like a fun idea, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it sounds fucking awesome.
I wonder if I can do this.
I'd have, like, I'm not musically inclined enough that I'd have never fucking picked up on
that. But it actually made the like guitars incredibly difficult to mix. They just turned into like noise waves. So it was like, it was really hard. There was like no notes that you could pick out, so it just kind of sounded like big walls of like distortion, you know. But yeah, that song's a fun one. I quite like that one.
Yeah. I know you guys have some shows coming up following the release of the Grand Scheme of Things there, October 4. You want to run through some of those with us, along with any possible tour plans in the works?
Yeah, sure. So we've got early October. We're doing an album release show here in Bristol, in the UK. It's our hometown. And then a couple weeks after that, we're going out on tour with a band called Pine, P-I-J-N, who are another UK band.
Has that been announced yet?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I've missed it. I'm talking to them Tuesday, I believe.
Oh, awesome. Probably talking to Tom, so say hi. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, Joe.
What the fuck? Yeah, Joe. Yeah, so we're going out on tour with them, as well as Hippo Tractor.
I did see that, because I thought to myself, this will be like the fucking epitome of stupidity trifecta. Kieran from Hippo Tractor was on not all that fucking long ago. Is it? I should sort this out before I talk to him. Is it Pine?
Pine.
I've always thought it was Pin.
Although he'll find it really funny if you call them Pigeon. So.
And we can do like a whole loop here. I talked to Connor from Conjurer a while back, and he told me the whole pigeon thing back then.
Wow. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so we're going out on tour in Europe and the UK, plus a couple festivals and stuff with those guys, which should be super fun. And then we haven't got anything like confirmed for the rest of next year, but there is some stuff in the pipeline for the start of 2025, as well as some festivals that summer as well. But yet to be announced. They shall be, though.
Looking forward to it. And this time I'll remember them before you start telling me about them. You guys get pigeonholed into like the doom gaze category, and you seem fine to go along with it. But in a moment of honesty, how would you describe your music if you like had all of the words at your disposal and it didn't have to be quick and to the point list?
I guess like I kind of weirdly like this is not an apt description, but I kind of see us as like a noise rock band of some kind. To be honest, it's like there's lots of like noisy elements, but yeah, sometimes we're melodic, sometimes we're heavy and noisy, but yeah, that's how I kind of see us. It's probably super inaccurate, and there'll be like loads of Sonic Youth fans that'll be really interested in right now.
I mean, listen to how you've described going into it. I can certainly see that. But okay, so there's that way of describing your music and categorizing it and all that. But how do you explain it to grandma and grandpa or whatever relative or person is most embarrassing?
I have to do this all of the time. So in my like real world job or whatever, I try and keep it from like the normies, you know what I mean? So I don't have to do this exact awkward answer to a question. But when they find out, which they normally do, because someone will like be like, "What are you doing?" Like next week, and I'll be like, "Oh, I'm off work actually," and they'll be like, "Oh, why?" Be like, "Oh, going on tour," and then you have to do like the explanation. And they always like British people are like the worst. They're like horrible, cynical, like arseholes. So they'll always go, "Oh, what's your band name?" And then you'll tell them, and they'll be like, "I've never heard of you." So I'm unsurprised by that, to be honest. It would be weird if you had, and then you didn't recognize me at work. Right. But yeah, but yeah, I normally just say horrible, shouty stuff, and that normally gives them the like right idea. And the good thing about that is they normally are like, "Cool, I won't listen to that. No way," which is perfect, to be honest.
It's the double whammy of, okay, I won't listen to it, and also I think we're done with this conversation now.
Yeah, for sure. It's a dismissive enough answer where I've given them the adequate information, but they're not going to follow up on it at all. And then after that, I can still talk about like funny tour stuff that's happened, and we can laugh together. But you're never going to ask me about like any kind of the musical side at all,
right?
Which is perfect, to be honest.
How about some
fuck is listening to this? I hate you all.
No, seriously, I don't like any of it. You mentioned funny tour stuff there. Do you have any fun tour stories you want to share?
Oh god, yeah, there are a few. We got last European tour. We were playing a Polish city called Wrocław. And as we were going in, we got stuck behind an anti-European Union, kind of, it had like right-wing nationalist undertones as well, which is freaky for someone driving in on like, a bright orange van with like British plate, because everyone in Poland has like a black or grey car.
Right.
So you're already getting weird looks driving an orange van with UK plates. But then you get stuck behind like 20 farmers' tractors purposefully going like 2 miles an hour because it's like a big anti-EU, like slightly right-wing inflected protest. That was really weird. So yeah, that's happened. We've had many times, like, we like to play really loud when we play live, like in most places it would be considered illegal, I guess.
Oh, great.
Lots of places are cool with that. That's absolutely fine. They get told in advance that we're going to be that loud, and there's not much they can do about
That's
it.
Fucking awesome.
But some places, especially I mean, I love the city. I love Paris. I love France. It's a beautiful place. But the sound engineers there absolutely hate us. One of the first times we've ever played there, we turned on our amp sound check, and there was a team of about 5 like folks working like the house sound. We have our own engineer, so he was like, give us the thumbs up to start playing, and I kind of hit a guitar chord, and all of these French sound engineers just like all stuck together in the room. They kind of sprinted as fast as they could to the nearest door, like to get out of the room. It's kind of crazy.
That's how you clear a room right there.
Lots of things like that, like lots of arguments with house sound engineers, which is fine. Like, I'm used to it by now, and it makes the shows where you turn up and turn on and no one gives a shit like even sweeter, because you know you can like burn the house down that night.
Yeah.
So yeah. yeah, it's mostly based around like sound engineers telling us that we can't be that loud. That's most of my story.
That would be a fucking badge of honor, though, wouldn't it? Are you guys, between touring and all of the albums that you're putting out and EPs and the collaborative work and all that, are you guys the hardest fucking working band in music right now?
No, absolutely not. As I said, when we record, everything is like first take, so we're actually the laziest band in music. It's just that all of the releases like make up for it, you know what I mean?
Kind of balance out scales.
It does feel like we haven't put out a release this year. Oh no, we did. We put out a split at the start of this year. I was going to say this might be the first year where we haven't put out 2 releases since like 2018, but that is not true. This will be another 2 release year. So.
Got it covered.
Yeah. We're really big fans of this band from the UK called The Fall, who have very infamously released about 300 records. So, like that's the kind of that's the like Moses' 10 commandments for us, right? Like how many full records would be released this year? You know, that's what we're competing with.
It sounds like it's an uphill fucking battle. So I've already asked one question. I'm sure you've been asked a bunch of fucking times. I'm gonna here towards the end of this conversation ask you another one. I'm sure you've been asked 100 fucking times. Where did the name come from?
It's like. It's kind of a dull answer, to be honest, but I'll go into the tedious details just for you.
Let's hear it.
So there's a TV channel over here called ITV, right? And I was a child in like the late 90s to early 2000s, and ITV is like the middle-aged, like normal family people's like TV channel, you know what I mean? And they kind of infamously had a lot of like crime drama on around that period that was like really bad. Like not bad in like a cheap or like badly made way. It was just like, you know, it's like bad. Like it's just not good TV.
Not good TV.
But it has like its own charm and like this weird like very British, like pitch way that I really love and I can't get enough of. Like, and it has to be of that period as well because it like takes me back to being a child. So, there's a show called Spooks from around then that's about like spies and like MI5 and stuff. It's very lame, like lots of like very posh British accents. It's tough going, right? And the last series of that is based around this thing, Operation Sugar Horse, and I nicked it from that because it sounded cool. So it's not even like deep. It's just
just a funny sentence.
It's like stupid nerdy shit that I like.
Operation Sugar Horse. Last thing here, and then we'll round it into the silly ways that I end these things. What's a common myth about being a musician that you would debunk?
I guess us as a band in particular, we are like the least rock and roll people ever. I mean, the main myth is everyone's super young. Like every band that I know is in their early to mid 30s. That's one myth. Like no prick is in their 20s. No one. And like most of the people that are doing this like properly, like there's very little partying, to be honest.
Right.
Like when we tour Europe, it's like 2 members of the band don't drink at all. Our sound engineer doesn't drink. And it's like we finish the show and then we'll drive to like the hotel that's halfway toward the next show, you know? So there's like, we'll have like an hour after the show to like sell merch, chat to the other band, and then we're like, see you tomorrow.
We'll be on our way now.
So yeah, I guess people think that it's like a constant party when you're on tour. Not for us. It's very, very boring, like utilitarian. I like to think of it as like socialist touring. You know what I mean? Like touring communism, where it's like the central diktat state that you must go to this hotel tonight and have no fun.
That's fucking great. This has been a lot of fun here, Ash. This has been like I've done. This is a word that I feel weird about because of things in the past few years, but the best I can do is preface it. I've done a lot of research, meaning I've Googled you guys and read through fucking things leading up to this, and the conversation still wasn't what I expected, and it's been a lot of fun.
I appreciate it. I've had fun.
We'll do, like I said, we'll do some stupid things to get out of here, and we'll see if you can break a streak here. I asked this, there's a series of rapid fire questions here, and a particular thing here keeps coming up that, you know what, whatever. Coffee or tea?
Coffee, actually.
Everybody picks coffee. It's like nobody drinks tea anymore. It's a fucking myth.
My dad would like absolutely kill me for that, and like my partner as well drinks like so much tea. Like we're British, right? I should drink gallons of it, but I'm a big coffee drinker. Like I had a coffee at like 8 p.m. That's how much of a fucking psychopath I am. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
What's something you could eat for a week straight?
For a week straight, any kind of Mexican food, like a lot of different foods, honestly. Yeah, Mexican, especially like fully Americanized Mexican food, like Tex-Mex stuff,
all the
or, like,
fucking cheese on it.
Mexican food. Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm down with that.
On the same page there. Beatles or the Stones?
I like the Rolling Stones a bit more. I don't particularly like either of them, which is like the most horrible like hipster shit to say in the world. I don't like the Beatles. Are you impressed? Like, but in reality, I don't. I kind of find the Beatles kind of sweet, whatever. But I like the Rolling Stones slightly more, but neither. Slayer, that's my answer.
I'm fine with that fucking answer as well. If you had to compare your music to an animal, what would the animal be? I'm going to go back to back with you on animal questions here.
Oh, God. I'm going to go for a cow. I'm down with cows. I like the cow life. Any animal that like doesn't.
Hang on. Hang on. Sugar horse.
Yeah.
Is a cow.
Well, like the reason is right, and you might find this disgusting. I don't care. Like I'm down with any animal that doesn't have to like hold in their bodily functions at all. Like it just comes out. You know what I mean? That's the kind of existence that I think most human beings should strive for. Honestly, so that's my reasoning.
Can I tell you a quick secret here? You were talking through part of your writing process and all that earlier. I let a fart go. So I'm
well. We're striving to not even hold that in at all.
Right.
Just comes out.
Just letting it
There's
go.
no holding in process. It's just it exists in your body and it's gone.
And now it's gone. If you could ask one animal one question, what's the animal? What's the question?
Oh God. I'd ask. Oh my God. I've got no idea. I've got some dogs. I'd probably just ask them what they do all day. You know what I mean?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Sorry. A lot of people default to their pet on that one.
Yeah. That's
asking your cat, "Do you actually like me?" is pretty common there.
Oh, and there's that famous like giant tortoise that lived for like 300 years.
Sure, yeah.
And met a bunch of like world leaders. I think he might have met Napoleon. I'd ask that tortoise. It probably doesn't exist. I probably misremembered what Napoleon was like, and that probably didn't happen. But that's
what we're fucking going with. Are you one of the drinkers of the band?
No.
Oh, well, then we're gonna skip that one.
I like to say that I drank enough for about 8 people's lifetime in my 20s. So I called it a day early, you know what I mean?
Got out ahead. If you had a mundane superpower, what would it be?
A mundane superpower. this may not sound mundane, but I'm reaching into like late 90s, early 2000s, like British TV shows here, and you're not going to have any fucking idea what I'm talking about. But this is for, in case any British people listen to this ever. There used to be a show when I was a kid called The Queen's Nose, and this is going to sound like the most horrible, like, British shit. Like, and it was super cheap. Like, the scripts were terrible. Everyone had bad teeth. Like, it was bad. But the premise of this show is this girl found this 50p coin, right? And obviously our coins had a picture of the Queen, who is dead now. Good riddance.
Say bye.
Bye. They had a picture of the Queen on them, and she could rub the nose of the Queen on this coin, and it would stop time. So I guess I'd pick stop time is like a played out response. I specifically want the Queen's nose power from the TV show The Queen's Nose. That's what I want.
I'm gonna go with that. I'd rub a nose to be able to do that. Scale of 1 to 10. How good are you at keeping secrets?
I reckon I'm pretty high up there. 8. Let's give it 8.
Go-to karaoke song.
A Little Respect, Erasure.
Okay, that's a good one.
Straight up. It's one of the greatest songs of all time. It's in my range, and I get to do the like super high, like falsetto bit at the end of the chorus. Yeah.
Class. Last goofy question here, and I end up having to explain this one sometimes to people on the other side of the Atlantic, so we'll give it a shot. Breakfast sausage, Lynx or patty?
Lynx would be like
a finger.
Oh yeah. So we would just call them sausages,
right?
I guess I like out of respect for my shithole of a country, I'd probably have to say them, because we don't really. Well, we have like the patties at like McDonald's, but McDonald's is like American, right? So for like nationalist purposes, which is probably not a good thing to say after the recent horrible riots in this country, I'd have to go for like the sausages.
Link for nationalist purposes. Okay, so you, Ash of Sugar Horse, get sent to an island for the rest of your life, all by your damn self. You get to take one album with you. What's the
album? I would take it's a band from Manchester who no longer exists in the UK, called Ocean Size, and the album is called Frames. It's like my favorite album of all time. It's also super eclectic, so there would be music for any mood.
Gets you through the days.
Yeah. So it would take me a while to get bored of it. I think I'm still not bored of it, and I still listen to it all the time anyway. So fuck it, let's take it to a desert island and really run it into the ground.
We'll ride it out for the rest of the years. Yeah, man, this has been a lot of fun. I think the plan, you know what, I'm not going to go into that, because if I say it out loud here and on recording, it'll end up going wrong, so we're just going to skip that. October 4th, if this comes out before then, look forward to the album, because it's fucking awesome. If it's already out and you're hearing this, then go fucking push play. Wow. Stick around with me for just a second, but other than that, I'm going to say bye to everybody, and you can do the same.
See ya.
Say bye. Okay, instead of leaving the natural in there, I'm going to pop back on here for just a second to say, A, thanks as always to the Brimming Horn dudes for sponsoring the show. B, thanks to Ash for popping on and talking with me in early August about the album that just came out in early October. You'll find links to them and the podcast in the description of the show here. Follow everybody on the socials. Wherever you're hearing this from, please hit the old subscribe button so that you can hear whatever comes next. And other than all that, how about New Dead Elvis in full? Ready, set, go.